Good people don't smoke marijuana.
I've known Larry for a long time.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. All love. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio. This week we'll be speaking to Rudy Roma. Rudy is the COO of Rethink Financial and CEO of Greenway Services in California. And we have a great conversation about hemp. This is one of the best possible information you can get about hemp and its products and what the future is going to be and what's happening right now in hemp. It was a great conversation with Rudy. Before we get to that, don't forget my Friday and Saturday nights on Clubhouse, Late Night with Larawana show, 9 p.m. on the West Coast and midnight on the East Coast. So now, here, without any further ado, Rudy Roma.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. All love.
And we're back. And this week I have Rudy Roma, COO of Rethink Financial and CEO of Greenway Services. Welcome to Medical Marijuana Radio, Rudy. And of course, Rudy is also heavy into hemp. He knows more about hemp than anyone I've ever talked to in my lifetime. Welcome, Rudy.
Thank you so much, Larry. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's great to spend this time with you.
Well, it's a pleasure. You know, you've always been a mentor and somebody who's really been in the industry. And I just love your questions because it helps me, not only answer them, but also get stumped and I have to call and talk to a couple of my relationships as well. So,
well, I'm just inquisitive. You know, I need to learn, and so that's where my questions come from. So tell me a little bit about your background before we get into Rethink Financial, which I think is obviously groundbreaking and going to help the cannabis and hemp industries tremendously. So yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Certainly. Well, I come originally from the cannabis industry. So I entered the industry back in 2012. 2013 is when I finally launched. But 2012, when I kind of came across, I own a marketing design company, and I came across a video after we finished one project. And it was kind of going through, and it was this one that said something about marijuana, and it said, and so I ended up clicking on it, and it was "Run for the Cure" by Rick Simpson. I didn't know who he was, but I clicked on it, and the first minute and 20 seconds is what changed my life, because it stated that big companies and pharmaceutical companies have the answers for cancer and other disorders, but due to big profits, we'll never see them. Now that right there really kind of gave me some goosebumps, because as I started to listen to a couple of the individuals that had issues and what Rick Simpson had created, which was the FICO, full extract cannabis oil, that gave them the opportunity to help these two individuals. And one of them suffered from nausea, the other gentleman of lack of appetite. Now that right there really opened up my heart, because decades ago, my firstborn daughter at the age of 8 months was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And that right there led our journey into chemo and radiation, and for 7 months, having to deal with my daughter's nausea and lack of appetite, and as a father wanting to help her with the leukemia first and foremost, but these other two underlying issues were ones that were always complications, and I wish I could have helped her. But it wasn't until I watched this video and saw these two individuals who had lack of appetite and nausea end up utilizing the cannabis and getting quality of life, able to eat, right? The nausea kind of subsided. I mean, what an amazing thing. And that led me down this particular pathway. So during that particular time, I started aggregating different disorders and how cannabinoids may be used to help them people. May, not will, right? Because each and every one of us has our own endocannabinoid system and our very own therapeutic protocol. That's really critical and important, and we'll kind of get to that shortly. But during this particular pathway, I found information that could be shared to to the community. And in 2013, I launched 420 Insight, which was the first educational platform showcasing cannabinoids and the different disorders. And in 2014, I was asked to join Focus. I launched Awaken America Cannabis conferences. Now, this gave me the opportunity to meet some of the top researchers, doctors, patients, advocates, and healthcare practitioners. Down this way, when we were inviting and having hundreds of people who would come here, children with epilepsy, individuals with epilepsy, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, I mean, you name it. People were there because they needed to find a solution that was for them, that was not being used with traditional medication. So that gave me that insight, and it was just remarkable.
Were you aware of Granny Crow's list of like over 700 to 1,000 afflictions that cannabis was good for? Have you ever seen that list?
I have not. You're the first. This is the first time I've ever heard that.
Okay, I'll get you that information afterwards and how to get that. It's an amazing collection of studies and all kinds of stuff. So where did you go from there? Were you able to use cannabis oil?
Oh yeah, I mean, back 2014, I ended up getting my medical recommendation card after learning back in 2013. This is the thing I've coined: educate before you medicate.
I love that, by the way. That's fantastic. And what you just said about having that conference for, medical people and so forth, still, even today, 7 years later, law enforcement needs to be educated. Medical professionals need to be educated. People making the laws in all these new states need to be educated. So education is, 110% what needs to happen right now to make this industry go forward and for people's health.
Absolutely. As they say, education is the key to quality of life, and that's the heart's there, and we put the effort there. So that's what we were doing. And so during that particular time, I ended up meeting so many different individuals, and there was different companies that were creating different formulary for people in the medical with medical issues. So going down, meeting scientists, doctors, patients, advocates. I mean, it was so amazing, to have this firsthand experience, because I'm coming in totally novice, but my education started taking, started layering so much more in terms of, being able to accept and being able to exchange and help people out. So that's kind of what I had done. In 2015, I was asked to, I launched Greenway distribution here in Northern California. And in that particular time, during that almost 4 years, I had over 100 dispensaries, dozens of delivery services. And my primary thing was focusing on more on the medical side. I never really carried any flower concentrates because during this particular time, we were not licensed, we were not adult use. It was kind of like a free for all. But I promised when I got into this industry that I would never sell anything that I wouldn't give my daughter, right? And if I was going to do that, I was going to make sure I maintained the lab testing, making sure that good manufacturing practices were in place. I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted it to be as if we were going to CVS or Walgreens and not have any have any issues with purchasing something, because we know that there was a legal oversight on that. And so I kept that, and I maintained that. And
you know what? I love it when I find people that come into this industry for the right reasons. Okay, it's just heartwarming, like you say, and I appreciate you and how you came into it. Did you have a connection with cannabis before that, as a someone that used cannabis?
Oh, probably my early 20s. I had
Mhm.
smoked and smoked for, recreationally. And I got to a point where in my mid 20s, I got to a point where it was like too lethargic and I was kind of getting a little headache. And I don't know, it was just youth.
Mhm.
I didn't understand how to use cannabis or to approach it. It wasn't, I grew up during the Just Say No, Ronald
Mhm.
Reagan, his wife's era. And to be honest with you, that kind of
Well,
made an impression to me.
yeah, well, you believed them, and of course, the U.S. government has been studying cannabis for 50 years, trying to find out all the bad things about it, and surprise, surprise, they were
Yeah.
really unable to do that, and that's why we've wasted the last 80 years where people could have been using hemp and cannabis medicinally, and some people probably could still be alive today if it wasn't for all of that. It's just sad, but you know what? Uh, we've gained so much ground in the last 10 years. I've been watching this for 50, okay?
Mhm.
And now we're here. We've arrived to the breaking point of all these states having their own laws and federally. So let me ask you this. Obviously federal is coming. Any guess, because it is a guess, how long it'll be? Because, I think we're almost there.
Well, one of the key things was, standards, right? And being able to create that. Back in 2015, I was asked to join Focus Standards. So standards was one of the key things that I, had been part of
Mhm.
in trying to right sizing this particular industry. So putting some effort and time in that, I mean, it means so much to make sure that, from a compliance standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint, from a patient or a customer standpoint, these all have to be in place, and in order to really feel as though the consumers and the businesses really
Mhm.
need to adhere to SOPs, standard operating procedures that will maintain their integrity, and so that they can be a trusted brand that's out there. And to this day, there are some that are out there, and there's some that are just falling short of me ever suggesting them, because of just their practices.
So one of the hardest parts of this industry is financial, which is paying, which is 280E, which is allowing businesses to do business like everybody else can, and that's been very, very hard. So you're involved with Rethink Financial, and since this is so crucial, I'd love to dive deep into that and how that's going to help.
Absolutely. One of the key things that we're doing is we have, it's on our blockchain, but we have it's a hybrid, on our own blockchain, but we're on traditional rails. But we're giving the ability for people to utilize Google Pay, Apple Pay, their credit card, debit card to pay for transactions in the cannabis space, right?
Mhm.
And that right there, those are high risk, and we're fully FinCEN compliant. We're utilizing KYC, Know Your Customer, and we're registered as an MSB, money service business. In addition, we comply with the bank secrecy, BSA, and these are very important layers because at the same time, integrity and being able to have some legal oversight is what the industry is needing, and we're in the forefront of that. So you don't hear a lot of that when I'm just mentioning to you when it comes to making sure that the transactions are fully transparent from a standpoint of consumer, from the merchant to the consumer. And so when we've added a layer of transparency, of being able to know who things are. So it's decentralized, but a hybrid, because we do know who's purchasing, and this is the legal way
Mhm.
of maintaining the integrity of our merchant processing
Right.
system.
So do you have to like develop and manufacture and design your own card swiper or system? How do you get into the financial system with Rethink so that you can use Apple Pay and all those things?
Absolutely. Well, we've gone through different licensing methods, and when it comes to these little control mechanisms that where you can swipe cards and so forth,
Terminals.
yeah. Exactly. Well, we're all of ours. We're actually going to be mobile, and we're going to be online, but we're actually in discussions with a new operator that's been in the industry for 25 years to actually integrate our process into these card swiping methods, and that will give them an additional layer of compliance on our end.
Okay, so I guess, okay, so how far have you gotten? So, I mean, obviously you have some pieces together. When do you think you'll launch?
We're launching in about 2 weeks.
No kidding. Oh my goodness.
We're launching our web in 2 weeks, and then probably another 3 weeks after that, after some testing, another month, and then we should be fully operational on our mobile.
So do you have to like sign up dispensaries yourself, to this program, or
now through relationships? I mean, we already have people who are already in the waiting list right now. So servicing this industry is an amazing time right now, because there are other competitors in this particular marketplace, but they have unsuccessful methods of doing transactions, meaning like ATMs in the physical location. Those are actually illegal, and Visa has actually just hired people to hunt those people down, those operators, and asking them to, that they're going to be having to close down. There's other systems that are utilizing like debit and ACH, but they're debit cards, but they're workarounds, and ours is not so. So that's how we're capable of layering compliance and being able to add the Apple Pay, Google Pay, debit, credit, the full suite of services.
How many states are you in right now with this?
We're going to be launching. Yeah. So we're going to be hitting, I think our focus is California, Illinois, Colorado, and the New York, New Jersey area.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So,
but make no mistake, I want to say this, from the standpoint of CBD and whatnot, we have the ability to onboard in all 50 states. We have a global Visa license. So we're able and capable of doing things on a global level. But first things first, create our foundation, and then we can build and scale on top of that.
Wow. So this is amazing and not very easy to do, I'm guessing, but you seem to have, all your ducks in a row, and 3 weeks from now, that's how will people know that they can use that? That's
well, we're gonna be doing some marketing ploys, with LinkedIn, Facebook, other marketing efforts. So we're really going to try to let people know. But right now, currently, as I said, we currently have a book of business that we're going to be onboarding and making sure that they are not only fully integrated, their customer experience is by far, the best. Mm-hmm. Customer service is one of the most key things. I have my certification in total quality management, team building, facilitation, and I can guarantee you that one of the key things is make sure that when the customer needs something, that we will be there to answer and help them on their journey.
Okay, so if it's not an invasion of privacy, how many dispensaries in California do you have signed up already? And is that the way you have to approach it? Is it about signing up
currently,
dispensaries?
I can't say how many actively. Well, they have to be activated. In order for them to be a customer, they have to be activated. And currently, there are no activations in the cannabis space right now.
But in the hemp space?
In the hemp space, as I said a couple of weeks ago, we pivoted and made it more accessible for all of our transactions. So because of that, we made sure that we are open for not only the hemp, but also traditional merchants from pet stores to grocery stores, you name it. Our platform is capable of taking care of those transactions as well.
So why in a non-hemp or cannabis store or industry would they want to use Rethink? What's the advantage for people there?
Oh, price. I mean, obviously, we have a higher price point to do merchant processing for the cannabis industry because we have KYC, we have other methods of making sure that everybody is compliant, right? FinCEN. So we know your customer. So these are things that we have to do an additional layers of protection for not only us, but to meet the legal, to be legally compliant.
Mhm.
And so we're doing our best. And because of that right there, it's a little higher fee than the traditional, but basically what I mean is for the traditional markets, we have another price point that we are offering them because we don't need to layer the KYC, some of these other layers of protection.
Are you thinking about having your own card, Rethink card at some point?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely. We already have our own rails. So there's so many different
What
phases.
what does that mean, rails?
Visa and MasterCard have their own rails,
Okay. I don't know what rails means.
meaning the ability to do transactions.
Oh, okay. See, those are financial terms that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're thinking about this, so you're thinking Visa, MasterCard, Rethink. That's what's
Okay.
going to happen. And so we're really looking forward and working with our, non-attorneys, our advisory members, industry experts to be the most compliant possible.
Mhm.
Period.
So delivery is huge. So this is going to be great for delivery businesses as well, right?
100%. Absolutely. I mean, we have scan and pay, we have text and pay, we have apps that, if you got websites, if you got products that you want to be sold on an app, we're capable of doing that. And, and it's layering on our secured blockchain.
Mhm.
And I'll have to say that, we are utilizing an SHA-256, which is the same type of layering for blockchain security as all U.S. governments. So we're maintaining the highest standards
Well,
of
yeah,
protection, security.
financially, you definitely have to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, security is another top thing, is making sure we maintain. Back in 2012, 2014, I owned my own identity monitoring company called Aegis Identity Group. And so security is one of the key things, because the last thing you want is vulnerabilities.
What about, for instance, okay, because of the pandemic, everybody's doing so much online ordering now. I mean, all the dispensaries, here in New Mexico, and I'm sure everywhere, have their menus online, and you can actually order online and then go pick it up and everything. Will processing be able to go through an online purchasing?
100%. Absolutely. I mean, we're also going to be layering NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens, so that people can actually purchase products from that platform. And that is a new arena that's been emerging over the last past year. So,
But you have to have a wallet, right? You have to start off with a wallet or not?
Depending on, I mean, for us, you don't need a wallet because our transactions aren't on a public platform, it's on a private. So ours will not need a wallet because it'll be our wallet, and we're maintaining those transactions on our end. So that's what makes us private versus public. Public, you'll need a wallet. You'll have to be part of an exchange, and then you can be able to sell and purchase the Dogecoin, the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, and so forth.
Very cool. So, I have a Coinbase account, and I'm just learning about all this, and I have a friend that is 50 years younger than me and knows way more than I do about this. Seems like the young people just have such a grasp on this. So I'm learning slowly. I think I have Cardano and Stellar Luma and Luna and so forth, but that's about it. But it's fascinating, and I always knew that the transfer of money back and forth electronically was going to be huge. I'm talking about before PayPal. I knew this was coming. I got my first computer in 1986, so I sort of been around for a while. So so let's talk about the hemp industry, because I've never met anyone that's as knowledgeable as you are, and you've been involved in it for so long. And before the show, you did show me some products. Now, so how's the hemp industry doing after its real launch in 2018? You can count 2014 too, but 2018 was really the big thing. And there were problems at the beginning. Everybody and their mother and grandmothers wanted to come in and start growing cannabis, hemp style. It's all the same to me, cannabis and hemp. But so where's it now? Because a lot of people got washed out over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I guess people needed to kind of, before they ever entered the marketplace, they needed to ask themselves why. And obviously everybody's answers was in most cases were for money, first to market. But what they didn't do is they ended up, not really taking a look and going back into history, right? So back in 2014, when a state was actually, I think Kentucky was able to start growing.
In Colorado too, I believe it was
correct.
2014.
Colorado. And so these were benchmarks, right? And these individuals were the ones that had to go through issues of harvesting, right? Finding first and foremost, what seed selection, making sure that the geolocation is going to be working.
That was probably one of the first big mistakes everybody made, because I believe everybody went hot. Not everybody, but a big percentage.
Not only did anybody go hot, but did the seeds even grow? Right.
Okay. Yes. Sourcing.
So you had sourcing, and there was some bullshit, excuse my language, but some really crappy seeds out there, and people going out there and really taking advantage of people. So in this, I've been in the supply chain. I've been in, heavily from the cannabis, and back in 2018, 17, I kind of was pivoting into the industrial hemp. And so that's why I had access to seeds and soil amendment people like Soil Balance Pro with Peter Savadre. He taught me a lot about, the terpenes, the expression, the microbes that are in the soil amendments that help them
so important,
become more vital, I can't tell you.
Live soil.
Oh, there's nothing better than that.
That's
right?
where it's at. If you have good soil, you just need the water. It's
You're right on. You're on target, Larry. I mean, the reality is that and I hope I don't want to preach, but regenerative practices give you that live soil, right? And once you harvest and then you plow or till, what you're doing is you're pretty much destroying and creating dirt, right?
So, I'd like to ask you, because you mentioned industrial hemp,
right?
So what's the difference between industrial hemp and the hemp that you get high volumes of the CBD from?
Well, let's see.
Are they just different cultivars? I mean,
I know this right here.
Yes,
right in back of me. This right here is much more of your bushier plant, right? And this is more of your varietal for cannabis. And so the difference is one's being grown for the bud, okay, and that's more of your medicinal products that you're going to be able to make tinctures, and you're able to extract and create distillate, isolate, and
that's where all the good CBD comes from. Is from
that's where the CBD comes from, right. The bud, and then from that. But when you're talking about industrial hemp, people just now need to recognize that this is what we're talking about. This right here, right? And see, this is a test crop in Texas, and this is actually the gentleman on my left-hand side or right here is from Australia.
Okay.
And his company is Eco Fiber, and they've been in the industry for about 15 years.
Wow.
So I kind of worked with them because they've had about 5 years of running trials here in the United States. Matter of fact, this particular one, this gentleman here is on my left. This here is the gentleman that's here.
Oh my.
And this is a test crop back in 2018. And this is in Kentucky,
Are they about 20 feet tall?
at least.
Wow.
At least.
That's amazing. So how do you harvest that?
So
And of course, now this is the industrial hemp, right?
this is the industrial
it's gonna
hemp.
be
Yeah,
used-
this is the difference between that and this, right?
Okay.
Looks a little bit different.
Right. Before I ask you about the industrial, let's look at this for a second. You said this is grown for medicinally, for CBD and other cannabinoids. So once the bud is gone, what can you do with the rest of the plant, the stems and stuff from this? Anything?
You know what? I've been working with many people. I've got farmers that are burning the remaining. Some people are just storing it. They're trying to figure out how they can utilize, the remaining parts. Mind you, there are incredible methods. I mean, you can use it for the you can take it down, micronize it, and actually sell it to the plastics companies, the hemp plastics companies, because they're going to be needing it. And this is going to be the same. This is the ingredient that they would love and would prefer, right? It's going to be something that's waste. They're going to be able to purchase it at a really good cost. They just need to make sure they micronize it, make sure that the moisture content is the desired one specification, and they'll be able to use it. Also, some people are trying to see, different methods. I don't want to share those because I haven't seen any successful ones. Every time I mention something, people are always trying to reach out and say, "Oh, can I talk to these people?" And right now, I don't feel very,
Sure.
with this particular ingredient.
It's just a concept right now.
It's just a
It's not a proven concept. So I totally get that, and I understand your reluctance. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
So
I really go ahead.
I was just going to say, so different products can be made from the remnants of this type of hemp plant for CBD, from the industrial hemp that grows, 20 feet tall that we just saw in that other picture. Okay, so what type of things? I mean, they've been making stuff in other countries out of industrial hemp for a very, very long time.
Right.
So tell me about what can be made from this. Is this the right cultivar or chemovar to make fuel?
It could be. I mean, people are doing test plots to seeing whether or not how successful are they going to be with converting that into, a gas.
So what happens to this group of plants here? Okay, it's going to get harvested, I'm guessing, by huge machines.
Right.
And then what? And then what's the processing that
in some cases there's wet retting. Retting means the ability for it to be harvested, and then a natural retting means that it's a decomposition. So once you've harvested, they're going to lay it down, and at that point, there's a thing called retting, which is the natural decomposition. So basically, what ends up happening is the fiber that's attached to the hurd, the full stalk, all of a sudden starts to separate, and that's called retting. So it starts to separate itself from the wood. So now you have the fiber, right, which is this here.
Okay, I see strips of fiber there. It almost looks like paper.
Correct. Well, this right here still has some. This stuff still has some hurd in it.
Now, hurd is from the inside of the stalk? Am I correct with that?
Hurd is the woody core on the inside. Okay. And then this is the fiber that actually is like a web that holds the core, that wraps the core together. So what you want to do is natural retting will all of a sudden separate it. So now you can put it through a machine, and then it can decorticate it. So it can separate both the fiber and the hurd. And the hurd is more of the wood chips.
Okay, so how do you make wood flooring from hemp?
basically you get the wood, and then a lot of the gentlemen's like there's some individuals in Kentucky. Basically, they're getting the wood and they're making planks, and that. I mean, honestly, I've not seen that process. I know some of the individuals who are doing it. I've seen videos, but basically they get the wood, they get the stalks, and they start layering them on top of each other to make wood planks, right? And then they're utilizing different types of resins to make sure they maintain and keep its integrity intact.
To bond them together.
To bond them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I know that in the flooring industry is the use, and a lot of the flooring comes from like China, but a lot of people, have to realize that there's formaldehyde that's being used. And a lot of times that smell is still part of, what you're going to be, what you may be laying in your home or office or whatnot. So this is where the people need to be cognizant of indoor pollution, right? And making sure that they do understand what that product is being made by and how it's being made.
I'm going to show you a hemp product right now, plastic. So this is a pre-roll tube from one of the dispensaries here in New Mexico, and this is hemp plastic.
Outstanding.
Okay, so I think it's great that they're using that and so forth. But so like when you buy something that's plastic and that's new and you take it home, you get that smell that you were talking about, formaldehyde from the China thing. But plastic also has other gases or whatever that are blowing off of it when you open up a box of a new item. Is that going to be is hemp do the same thing, or is there no?
It's going to come down to. I mean, currently, right now, I know individuals that are creating some hemp plastic products, and they're pretty much like 75% raw plastic and 25% substitute with hemp micronized.
Well, that's only going to help 25% of the planet, or I don't.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not even biodegradable, right?
So I guess I don't even know if this tube is all hemp, although I was told
Absolutely.
it was.
No, it's not. It's not, because it's not. I mean, there's nothing that I've seen right now that's 100%. And mind you, I see a lot of things, and I'm approached by a lot of different companies looking for this type of stuff. This is micronized. It's
Right there. Yeah.
See how it's very, very.
So that bag right there is hemp plastic?
No, this is.
Oh, what's inside of it? Is there something? I'm trying to see what's inside of it. I can't really see that. Is there something?
So basically, all it is a very, very small, fine particles of hemp fiber.
Okay, I got you.
And hemp hurd. So it's like flour, but it's been ran through a screen that makes sure that it's called micronized hemp, and this is what they're going to be using for like 3D printers, right? So that they can use that because it's small enough to add into the inks and whatnot.
Wow. 3D printing is a whole nother thing that I have to get a grasp on. I've seen it. I know they can do artificial hearts and stuff. I mean, it's crazy what's going on with that. But I want to get back to this, okay? The picture in back of you. Some big machines are going to come through and just plow that down, right? And
I mean, they might have a 3-knife trim and making sure that the stalks are 3 to 4 feet in length.
Is it separating the leaf and the buds that might be on there from the stalks, or is it all going into?
Well, this one right here is gone to maturity, so it's got some stalks on top, and I think that they were growing this to get some seed.
Okay, so there were males in here.
These are males.
Okay.
Yeah, these are males.
No, it can't all be males.
No, but
I mean, but what I'm saying, but they were trying to produce seed. On a massive level. Do you know what cultivar or that particular one is by any chance?
I forgot.
Could it be multiple cultivars, or would they only grow one cultivar in that big space? I know I'm asking weird questions, dude. There I go.
No. I mean, honestly, it could be at least 2-3 different varietals. I mean, I know that they have they have more than one or two. So I know that during this particular time that they were this is a test crop back in 2018.
So obviously there's machines that will separate, since this was grown for seed, will separate the seed.
Correct. It'll take the tops off, and then they can come back around and well, they takes the tops off, and then it goes into a machine where it collects the seed, and then the remaining part would be laid down, and that's where the retting process would take place. And so the retting means, as I said, but they come back around and they use this blade, which they'll turn over within a week, a couple of days, so that it doesn't, the moisture, they make sure that it's fully retted on both sides. That's one of the key things. Then they harvest it. Then they'll take it to their processor.
Right. So let me ask you about the processing. Is there a lack of processors for hemp? Is there a problem of people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, let's just put it this way: 80 million acres of soybeans were grown last year. 14 million acres of cotton. We had less than maybe 600,000 acres of hemp, and a lot of that was more of your. It wasn't for industrial hemp. It was more for your medicinal biomass,
Consumable hemp.
Yeah. And so this year, people around the country have been sourcing seeds from China, Ukraine, Italy, France, Czechoslovakia, so that they could find a cultivar that they can bring that will be successful. And one of the key things that they have to be cognizant of is if that strain, maintaining that it will grow to maturity, and they have to have field monitoring to make sure that it maintains less than 0.3%. That's the law, right? So that's making sure that this takes place is a critical thing that they have to do, because when you hear hot hemp, all this stuff, it just means that they're just not doing their job. I mean, back in 2014, 15, 16, 17, every single year, a new state went online to start growing. And they didn't understand, because the same thing that was happening the year before, or issues, took place here, took place in that new state. And what I mean by that is harvesting, drying it, right? Processing it, and making sure you maintain less than 0.3%. I mean, there's all these different variables.
So one of the huge problems right there with what you're talking about, maintaining that less than 0.3, some states have it in their hemp laws that the crop has to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, how stupid is that, to make a farmer work for months and months and months, and then because it's a little hot, have to destroy it? Why not move it into make medical products with it? Let's pay these farmers. Let's not let them go out of business like so many of them did that first year. How about in some states now are allowing remediation of taking the THC out? So what's that going to be like this year? I mean, are states able to change their laws quick enough to accommodate making things better for the farmer, the most important part of all of this?
This is, I mean, right now it's case by case, it's state by state, right? And in some cases, it's also county by county.
Well, see, that's
because here we got 58 counties here in California, and only a few are allowing, there's industrial hemp being grown.
How popular is smokable hemp right now?
And
where do you see it? Where do you see it going?
Back in 2019, that's when I started seeing more the first, late 2018, 2019, I start seeing smokable hemp become part of a product in the marketplace. But the thing was, they were utilizing hemp that was being grown for biomass, right? And they were taking some of the nice looking stuff that had good smell, but it looked like crap. And so, the very next year, people became a little bit more attention. They were a little tentative, and not tentative, but they were more focused on quality and maintaining the integrity of the bud. So it started to get better. They started to smell better. I mean, I had some cannabis people that went into the hemp, and they were just growing some beautiful stuff outdoors. So that went well. I had some sales of some hemp flower, around the country, and it just you pick your battles.
Right.
I
Well,
thought
some people don't get along with THC. Let's be honest, okay?
no, it's
So I mean, they just have, I have the domain name Cannabis Mild because I think there's going to be products out there, for people who want low THC. So in the smokable hemp or the big, nice, beautiful hemp buds you were just talking about, what's the highest CBD level that you've seen do you know? Is that even?
for CBD.
For
For
a
CBD hemp.
smokable hemp, yeah, CBD hemp that's
Oh, I've seen
smokable.
some stuff into the 18, 19%.
Okay.
I've seen some in the high 20s, and then I've seen ones, that are 12 to, 12%, but high in terpenes,
Ah, okay.
right? And that right there it adds more flavor. People are getting more of an entourage, effect from that. So, it is a case by case. It's what is going to be working for you.
Yeah,
That's what it
you know,
really comes out to be.
I have some friends that are in the CBD business here in New Mexico, and they're doing quite well with smokable bud, and compliant and so forth. So I think there's a market out there for it. But the market right now, like the market for Delta 8, is in states where cannabis is not legal. And that's why Delta 8 is such a big deal right now. So how do you see this Delta 8 thing playing out in the future? Do you think once there's studies done on it and that there could be a place for what Delta 8 has to offer? Or again, is this just a pacifier for states that aren't legal right now?
Well, to me, it was kind of like the next iteration, the next process. I mean, you had CBD, then people went to CBG, right? And then then you heard about the THC,
Acetate.
right? And then all of a sudden you start hearing about Delta 8 because it became, now you're hearing Delta 10, right? So it was part of that process of not only processing conversion, right? Because it is a conversion from CBD converting into Delta 8 in most cases. So that's what's taking place. And mind you, I had access to a very large company that was last year, back in this is 2020, April, May. They sent me some samples of some Delta 8 cartridges. It had been, it was right in the beginning of it, beginning to start hearing about it, and I had access to it, and I had to decide whether or not I wanted to get into, dip my toe into it or not. And because of, I'm a person that doesn't want to, go out of a comfort level, because you can get in it and then you can just get wiped out because it can be just taken from you, pulled under your legs. So I looked at it and I said, I'm going to pass.
So
And
did you try it yourself?
to this day, I've never tried Delta 8.
Okay, I tried ingesting it orally, from a water soluble one. I've never smoked it. I don't see any reason to smoke it myself, but for me, I didn't care for the effect. It made me a little bit woozy and dizzy. It wasn't pleasant. But
Right.
I've heard a lot of people talk about how it really helps them. Now, most of those people are in states where they can't get the real help. So again, I
Sure.
think that's the dilemma we're in. And I've heard some scientists talk about it also. And a lot of the stuff that's out there right now, as you know, is not made cleanly and is being sold at gas stations and pool halls or whatever, and that's the stuff that's suspect. But I heard some scientists talk that maybe in the future, once it's studied, that there could well be uses for it. It is a molecule.
Everything has its place, right? Everything has its place, but at the same time, we have to identify that the cannabinoids, cannabis, we have our own endogenous. We produce our own endogenous cannabinoids from our endocannabinoid system, right?
Absolutely.
And so we are deficient in our cannabinoids. So basically introducing, the cannabinoids into our system. I mean, we're talking about, homeostasis, getting back into balance. And I'm full one into the full entourage effect, but, the full spectrum of the plant, because you don't want to limit, you don't want to put in something and not take advantage of
The potential.
the potential quality of
Yeah.
life. I mean,
Gotcha.
just because you're using CBD in itself, I mean, it's helped a lot of people.
Dude, what I've seen with pets, puppies, not necessarily older puppies. What I'm saying is older dogs become puppies again. They wake up. It's almost like that movie with Robin Williams, where they took something and all these comatose people just woke up and were like amazing for a short period of time.
Well, just think of it this way, I mean, could you wake up? I remember when my wife, she suffers from neuropathy, fibromyalgia, and chronic pain, and
Wow.
she would be waking up, oh my God, 2-3 times a week, crying because it felt like her skin was being separated from her skeleton, her feet. And we've been going to doctors and asking for some solutions, and nothing was working. And so luckily, this is when I had my distribution, was just beginning. A friend that I had befriended, came by, dropped off some product, CBD Alive, and that right there, it was in a syringe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so 1 gram syringe, my wife took the size of a rice grain right on that thumb, under her tongue. And my wife wasn't one that would take anything unless she was at its wit's end. And she helped me, developed all the content. So she had a good understanding as to what cannabinoids may be able to do, and low dosing, right? So she microdosed, put that under. And then she looked at me 20 minutes later and she goes, "Rudy, is this how it feels to have no pain?"
Whoa, what a sentence.
I mean, I started to,
Wow,
well
of
up,
course.
man. I mean, that's the one thing that I've always wanted to do, is make sure that, my significant other doesn't have any issues, and others, so I can share this information. But knowing that this is not a one size fits all, meaning that people are going to try it. And, because I had my distribution, because I was around people and I had focus groups, and I worked with patients, I seen stuff that worked for others, and it just didn't work for,
Right. That's the sad part of it, but it is helping. Well, it's certainly not doing any harm to the people it's not working for. I don't think it's doing any harm. Okay,
Yeah.
first do no harm, as the doctors and physicians say. So we have a couple of minutes left. Is there anything you would? We're going to have you back again, because you and I could talk for hours, which we've done before in Clubhouse.
And we do.
But anything else that you'd like to? First of all, where's your websites? How can people find out more about Rethink? And
Sure. We're going to be changing it to rethinkpay.com, but currently you can go to www.rethinkbank.com. That's Rethink Bank, RETHINKBANK.com. And we're going to change it in a couple of weeks to rethinkpay.com. And but what I'd like to showcase is, this right here that I'm wearing right now is a shirt that I commissioned. See, I wanted to bring back the textile industry into the United States, and knowing that, that's why I had been built relationships with many of the top growers that are growing industrial hemp, test cropping around the country. I created those relationships because I was looking to service the textile industry. So what I did is I built relationships and having industrial hemp fiber, having it sent to India, where it's cottonized and degummed, and selling it to the spinners so that they can make the hemp fiber.
So in the next couple of years, did you see lots more hemp products, as far as jackets and clothing and so forth, being around? I know that some people have been doing it in Europe for years.
Yeah, well, it's limited. It's limited in its scope, because there isn't that much being grown.
Okay.
If you really look at what's being grown in Europe, it really isn't that much. I mean, hell, Spain only grew 500 acres last year.
Wow, that's not
Right.
that should be one person's farm right there. That's not the whole
100%.
country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what I've done is I commissioned this and was able to take some of the raw fiber, get it cottonized, degummed in India, where I was able to spin again. This
Beautiful.
is 60% tensile, 40% hemp, and this is 100% hemp. And what I was capable of doing, and what I did commissioned, this right here is my T-shirt, and it comes in black, gray,
Very nice. Can people get these online?
blue,
I like the blue one. Yeah.
and white.
Wow, boy.
Yeah.
So are these products coming in the future, or are they available right now? If somebody wanted a T-shirt,
I'm actually the website's getting built, and it's going to be under
AAH.
All American Hemp.
All American Hemp. All right, everybody, check out All American Hemp. I certainly am going to go get. I need a hemp T-shirt for sure.
Well,
And-
you're going to get one, so you don't even have to worry about it, there, my buddy.
And I think I'm going to have. Maybe you should make them up that says "This is hemp" or something, or is something on.
You know
there.
what? I sell the T-shirts, and you can do whatever you want. to it.
Okay, I know exactly what I'm going to smoke it for the CBD.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Anyway, Rudy, thank you, buddy. Look at you smiling. It's great to see you smile. I'm used to talking to you on Clubhouse. So anyway, Rudy, thanks very much. We'll do this again soon. Best of luck with the Rethink Pay, right? .com, and the hemp fiber and the hemp cotton and all that stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll have you on again soon to talk about new things in hemp and in paying for cannabis in the cannabis industry. Thank you, Rudy. We'll be right back after this. Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
Well, I want to thank Rudy. That was a great conversation. I look forward to doing another one shortly. Again, every Friday and Saturday nights, 9 p.m. on the West Coast and midnight on the East Coast. It's Late Night with Marijuana. We'll be back next week with another great guest and a great interview. Thank you for watching. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.
Oh yeah, it's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa, whoa.